Okay, I'm back, and I got my drink, so I can continue. All right. By the way, I gotta give you guys like the recipes for this. I'm always making my own iced teas. This is like a green tea with lemonade mixed. It's great. Anyways, to get back to what I was saying, how should I put this? Because there's so much for me to explain exactly why I believe what I believe. All right. One thing I found that's kind of funny about the systems of governments that we all support, every single last one of us has our ideal system of what we think our country or our world should run by. My wife just sent me a funny message. Like, for instance, you got people who are championing democracy all over the place in this country, even though they have no freaking clue how a democracy would run. You got people championing communism. You got some people championing socialism. You got, of course, people championing anarchy. All these different systems. But what's funny to me is that they don't necessarily live the systems that they spout. Of course I live my beliefs. Not necessarily. For the people who talk about democracy all the time, ask them if they run a family or if they are in a family. I'm sure you'll bump into at least one person who's in a family or who's running a family. And then ask them, do you run your family as a democracy? If their family's running well, hell no. You don't have, like, I'm the eldest of 7 kids, okay? And my parents are still together. Imagine all of us still kids, all 7 of us running around, and my dad's like, okay, I need to decide whether I'm going to be spending this money to get a new car or if I'm going to be spending the money to buy an entertainment system. Does he group everybody up together and say, okay, we're all going to put this to a vote? Am I going to use this money, to get an entertainment system or get a new car? Everybody, put your vote together and put it in the hat, and then we'll count up the tallies. No! The father's the one that makes the decisions. The kid just is there. They better listen and shut up or else. And that's how families are run, for the most part. There are no democratic families. I mean, maybe if they're all adults, and even then, it ultimately comes down to the guy who's paying the bills and keeping the roof over everyone else's head. And we all, for the most part, agree with that. But that is, in a strange sort of way, a system of government. It may be a rather small government, but as K. Biomech once succinctly pointed out, that was the first political system, the family. I miss K. Biomech. Man, I miss the dude. Anyways, it's funny. That's how we run our families, and that is a system of governing. We do that. We run families like a dictatorship. Then you have your neighborhoods, neighborhood watches. Maybe then things might get a little bit more democratic. Then you have cities, and at that, once you start expanding, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Then we start changing the scope. Now it's not necessarily a dictatorship anymore. Now you need more. You want to hear more and more people's input. Businesses, some businesses are run with only a few council of, chair people, and everybody else are the grunts, and they really don't got any say, even though they pretend that the people they have say with the little suggestion boxes that they got in the side. But it's funny. This is how we live our lives, and we're okay with those systems. But once you start getting to the level of the country, that's when our systems start turning into a religion. Oh, it's got to be this way or else. It's got to be this way or else. And just like religious people, we don't necessarily practice what we preach, which is one of my biggest problems with what I call systems. We all got these systems, and when we put them in our daily lives, for the same people who work with them on a personal level, we adjust them as we see fit. Certain things might have to change depending on the situation. Our systems personally are not necessarily absolute proofs, unless of course we're talking about religion. But as you start putting them grander and grander on the scale of things, that's when you start saying that, oh, capitalism is the only way. Communism is the only way. Anarchy is the only way. Without taking into account any of the freaking variables that might come in and fuck that up. There are no absolute truths. And my problem comes in with anybody, even if I agree with them. My problem comes in when they start saying that this is the only way it's going to work. This is the way it is. No, it ain't. You have no freaking clue, especially if it's a system that hasn't been put in place yet. For those talking about capitalism, and they try to talk about how great capitalism is, well, we got a capitalist society running right now, and it's kind of fucked up. Now they're going to try to make excuses for it. Well, it's the government that gets in the way that fucks it up. Yeah, but capitalism allowed that to happen. Think about it. Even with the corruption of government officials, that's still kind of part of capitalism because you're still using money to achieve your ends. The whole point is making a profit and, keeping and using your capital to keep things going. And of course, it's all about the free. Everyone says that capitalism is ultimately about the free market system. Well, in a weird sort of way, bribing politicians is kind of part of the free market system because, well, okay, this person isn't going to be willing to buy my product, but this politician will, and then he'll help me to go along with my business. It's the dark side of capitalism, but that's what it is. That's the problem also that gets me about all these people that come up with all these different systems. They always either forget or conveniently leave out the abuses that can happen. And then what's even worse, they might just completely oversee or completely forget about how it can be abused and then put it into place, and then later on, oh shit, I didn't realize that. Or they try to put their system in something that doesn't fit. There's a common theme among some philosophers and even a couple of comedians, like if you've heard Lenny Bruce, there's a statement that is said every now and again, which I wholeheartedly believe. There's a way that we'd like things to be, and then there's the way things are. You have to deal with the way things are. You cannot work off of how you want things to be first and completely forget how things are. If you want things to change into how you want things to be, you still have to deal with the way things are first. So in the case of America, if you're trying to make America an anarchy, you can't immediately just go, we need to turn it into an anarchy right now. This is why it needs to be toppled, let's do it now. You can't do that shit because no one's ready for it yet. Well, I shouldn't say no one, but most people aren't. So that's the reality. Most people aren't, and most people are ignorant of what it is. Hell, you say anarchy to somebody, they automatically think chaos because that's how the word is used. So the first thing you need to do is to deal with the way things are, which means, okay, right now the system will not be able to function with the people that I'm working with. The majority just won't get it. So that means I need to work with the system we got and try to make it change or evolve into a state where they're ready to move on to anarchy. Same thing with a democracy, because right now, look at the way our country is being run. Again, I said this in my last vid, that most people think this is a democracy when it's not. It's really an oligarchy. So all the people who are trying to yell at Bush or yell at our administration for all the abuses that this country is going through, the fact that, we got illegal wiretapping, we got all these unjust wars, we got all our economies going to shit, all this stuff. And all the people who are trying to fight this back always start off the premise, well, we are a democracy. Wrong. Right away, you're working off something that you think should be. You're not working with the way things are. The way things are, this country is actually an oligarchy, and a hijacked oligarchy at that. And you're dealing with a group of people who are lied to on a daily basis and sort of like it. They don't want to rock the boat. That's what you're dealing with. So you now have to deal with, okay, I'm dealing with a hijacked oligarchy full of people who are lazy motherfuckers. Mentally lazy motherfuckers. How the hell can I get these group of people to later on fight against the abuses that's going on? You start with that and work with that, and then you'll get somewhere. But you can't just immediately go, this system is the best. First of all, again, no system is the best. It depends on what you're working with. Like Haiti right now. There's this big push, like, because I got a vested interest in Haiti. That's where my family comes from. Many people will say that country needs a democracy. That country needs people voting. No, that country needs food, water, and shelter right now. The last thing that... my father used to tell me this, and it cracks me up, because he came from there. The average peasant doesn't really give two shits about whether he can vote or not. The average peasant is wondering what he's going to eat the next day. What they need right now is somebody or a group of people who can put that place in order before they'll later on start worrying about people who are going to be able to vote and shit. There needs to be some way of getting things structured over there. So somebody's saying we should turn that into democracy. Hell no, they ain't ready for it yet. Of course somebody might say, well, they're ready for an anarchy. They don't even have the resources for that. Iraq. That's a place that right now I wouldn't necessarily say needs a democracy. We hate Saddam Hussein all we want, but you have to admit one thing, he kept the place in fucking order. When the U.S. went in there, the place is now chaotic. And even with the government they've instituted in there, there's still shit blowing up. You think, yeah, there's a whole bunch of people saying, yeah, I got my vote in, yeah, I got my vote in. But with all the differing points of view, they're really getting shit done. systems work for different situations, and you have to be willing to change them on the fly and adapt them on the fly. I have never been an ardent believer in so-called absolute truth. Therefore, I cannot back up any one system. I can identify with it, and I will admit that when it comes to anarchy, that's the one that I'll admit I identify with the most. But I am not going to go around and say that that is the ultimate, that like, yeah, that's the way it should be. No, because down the line, somebody might prove that one wrong. Yeah, it addresses most of our problems, I'll admit that. Yeah, under the right circumstances, it could work beautifully. But right now, it wouldn't work. Just like communism wouldn't work and so on. And it all is based on humans being humans.